right, so we're live. See, we had to do the countdown tonight to give Jan enough time to get dressed.
Oh, right? Put my shirt on backwards. You gotta love it. Back or not backwards, inside out. It's been
Either
one of
way,
those.
it works.
Right, it's Monday.
Yes, it is.
You gotta love that.
Adam, see if I can share this real quick. Oh, wait, it doesn't even show me we're live yet.
Really, that's what I was looking for.
No, no. Okay, that's not our video.
Oh, I see us.
I do not, and my stuff seems to have a problem today.
Hmm.
It needs to stop.
So, how fast
Why?
did your Monday go?
Not fast enough. Mondays stink. I guess if you work Monday through Friday, they stink. When I wasn't working Monday through Friday, it didn't really matter what day it was.
Yeah, I understand that.
There we go.
All right, did you get it?
There we go. Now we can. Okay. So, what is our topic for today?
You know, I had a real interesting week last week. I don't know if you had one, but I had one. My baby boy turned 11, and we had some trials and tribulations this week.
Okay.
Um, I thought we would do resentment. We don't, resentment's one of those things that we don't understand that we hold on to, and
Joshua,
it,
boy, what's wrong with you?
um, so
Hey, Jeremy.
you know, we were talking. I have an interesting relationship with each one of my my children's fathers.
Yeah, I do
I
think we
don't
need to
resent
discuss
them.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, and you said it was weird. I sat down and I thought about it all day today. I'm like, is it really that weird? And I think in
yeah,
today's standard, it is.
it is.
It is.
Well,
Like, and
honestly, in
you
any
know,
standard, it is. Simply because before now, well, let's start way back then. Women didn't have rights. They weren't allowed to divorce. They weren't allowed to do anything. If they got their ass beat, that's just too bad. You sit there and say yes, sir.
right.
Well, then divorce started, and when divorce started, not long after that, women burned their bras. So therefore, it was screw men. Well, along with that came a lot of responsibility they were not ready for. And I say they because there is a structure, and the way it is right now is not it. And then, once divorce happened and they would remarry, the man
Resent.
they were married to hated everyone, um, everyone in their past. They're not allowed to talk to anybody they've dated, talked to, seen, looked at, ever. So,
See, and to me, that's crazy. To me, that is so abnormal. And I don't know if it's because I
Joshua.
understand structure of relationships and human nature. And I think that's maybe where I'm a little bit different. I understand the psyche. I view that being together and being whole is a lot easier than being separate and fighting. We have that idea once we get divorced and have children, with our partners that we have separated from. We have that dream that, holidays, are different now. Birthdays are different, graduations are different. For the structure of the child, is it really healthy?
and that's where we need to go back to
Mama, I saw pink movie and it's so good. I want to show you room.
What,
Okay.
Abby?
There's boogers.
Oh, that's interesting.
No,
But
Mama,
go clean them up.
boots. Boots. Oh, order me. Right here. Because it's under movie and under the wall.
Oh
What?
no.
What?
Here.
Thank you. I got
You're welcome.
a picture.
I don't pretend to understand. I just love.
Well,
That's what you where they're at. You know, especially when they're poor.
and let's talk about. I asked you when you said that about the relationship with both of your exes. I asked you how. You told me a story. Tell that story.
I told a couple of stories. Um, I married my first husband when I was 16. I knew him for 4 months, and I tell you what, don't regret that choice to this day. I think he's an amazing man. I know he's an amazing man.
Adrienne.
I know the person he is deep down inside.
Mhm.
But I learned a hard lesson right before I married him. And I had a really good friend of mine that died. And I went through hell with him. And when I say hell, I was there when he hurt his. Give me 1 second. I got to look at this picture she has to show me.
Oh, this could be very interesting. This child is very interesting. But while she's doing that, I'll tell you the reason I asked the question is because I've been married. We just won't go into how many times. Enough. My first one, we're all about getting real. I was 16, and he was a child molester. Um, what I did not know was he was molesting mine after we divorced, and I knew there was issues with him. We're all adults here, so there was issues sexually with him. There was some strange things going on that he decided to force, and that's the reason I left. So later, the courts want to give daddy time too. So this is where I'm a little jaded and go, why? Well, when daddy had time, you know, I didn't find out till they were grown that, hey, something happened.
That I
So,
can understand. I can understand that. I didn't have that with my ex-husband though.
right.
Like, with my ex-husband, we had our own personal issues.
Hmm.
The issues lie between him and I.
Right.
The ultimate goal was our children though. It was the welfare. And we could pull it together. But I had that friend, and at 16, my last words to him, after going through cancer treatments, being there when he lost his leg, lifelong best friend. I told him, fuck you, 3 times. I walked out the door. These were my last words to him. I learned a lesson. I learned about love, and I learned about friendship in that moment, and right from wrong. A few years later, after I was married, um, my first love called me out of the blue. And it wasn't abnormal. It was something he randomly did. He would just call to check in. We had been through some trauma together. Um, we had a friendship that was very deep. And I had learned my lesson with my other friend. You don't leave anything sour. I learned I learned what true love was that day when he called. He'd taken a whole bunch of pills, and he called me on the cell phone. And he sounded funny, and I won't talk about what was talked about. That's between him and I. and I heard the crash. And at the time, I had been working as a third rider in Colorado, and my former partner was the first one on scene. He picked up the phone and let me know that he was gone. So I learned a lesson there. You just don't take it for granted. You just don't take that friendship for granted. You don't know what you truly mean to somebody at the end of the day. And then with my ex-husband, it's life-changing to grab a hold of your ex-husband as he collapses over the body of your dead son.
Mhm.
And you remember what you got married for. You remember what you created a family for. So for me, I don't look at my exes as resentments. I don't resent anything from them. I cherish the friendship that I have with them. The fact that my ex-husband can pick up the phone and call my son from my other husband and wish him a happy birthday. That's amazing. That's an amazing connection. He never played favorites with those kids. In fact, he lovingly calls them his piss stain. He can't go anywhere until, he potty trained. So Nate potty trained so he could go out with the big boys. So Trap always included Nate, and always loved Nate. And when I had Avelina, it was the same. So for me, family is different. Love is different. And I can love them where they were at. And I love them for who they are now. And I love them where they're going to be, because they're a huge part of who I was and who I am and who I'm going to be in the future, because that part of me is never going to change.
But let's also discuss that doesn't mean that there's not anger when they piss you off. That doesn't mean that you're not going to tell them exactly like it is when they piss you off.
It's a friendship. You have to look at it. I mean, when you get married to somebody, you have to form a bond. You have to form a friendship with that person, right? So you have a bond and you have a friendship with that, and you have to get back down to the basics. You don't ever stop loving somebody. Your love just changes when you learn what love is. You understand that, if you're hurt and you're angry and you're mad, that's because you love somebody. It's when you stop feeling all those emotions,
Yep.
that you really have to take a deep breath.
You're done. At that point, there's no more feelings. You're
At
done.
that point, you're done. But you know what comes out of that, though? What comes out of that is when you separate and you sit down, you still may be done at the end of the day, but just as long as you can come to terms and be brutally honest with what you did wrong in the relationship, and you're brutally honest with the other person, and you take your fault and you take your blame and you take your responsibility, at the end of the day, what comes out of those numb feelings should be a different type of foundation, especially if you have children. You should grow a friendship from that foundation.
And that's granted you were smart enough to have a child with somebody who had some common sense. And you weren't 16 and decided, oh, look, we're not going to get into how old I am. But anyway, it was when nipple rings first came out. Yeah. Well, I was a doctor's daughter. Therefore, I was very sheltered. And when I became unsheltered, I found the first guy and went, oh my God, he's got nipple rings and a chain from one end to the other and up to his ear. And hey, I like this. There was no such thing as love. It was, he's cute. I like this wild side. Yeah, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
I can't honestly say and sit down and say that I've ever picked a bad guy. Ever. I mean, my ex-husband has morals like you wouldn't believe. My ex-boyfriend has morals like you wouldn't believe. The man I was with for a year, has great morals. The father of my children now has, great morals. Jesse has great morals. They all have the same foundation, the same, old school mentality.
See, I'm not the only one. Now, everybody after that, no, no. All but one after that was wonderful. And the one after that, he hit me. I always promised, you know, I I had an old lady neighbor that her man used to come home every night, her husband, and would beat her after drinking. One night, I don't know who told her this, but she had an epiphany or something. Sewed him in the sheets while he was passed out, took a bag of potatoes and beat the holy hell out of him with them. He never woke up. When he woke up that morning, he was like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" He thought he'd been beat up the night before. He didn't know what happened. He never drank again. So that worked out okay. Mine didn't. But I will say, in my defense, and this is not everybody's, and I never want to say anything about somebody who is in a relationship that is being hurt that can't get out. I understand it. I get it. There is a way out, but not always the way I did it. I walked out. As soon as I was able to quit seeing stars, I got up, I walked out, I never came back. That is not everybody's story, and thank God it was mine, but it's not everybody's. I was able to because I had friends. But, not everybody's that lucky. But I will say he was my son's dad, and we talked, we raised the kid together. We were good friends after that. As long as we didn't have to, be in the same house, we were fine. Every time he'd see me, he'd hug me. We'd exchange the kid. We were good. And the day about a week before he died, we talked on the phone. He was pretty out of it, of course. I thought, my age didn't work. Let's go older, 20 years older. So he died about 3 years ago. And we talked up almost till the day he died. He was not lucid the day he died, but we talked. Had no problem. Now, would it have been that way if we were still together? No, absolutely not. It would not have been. But that's okay. No hard feelings. He did come to me. Most of us here in the paranormal, we understand. He did come. He was Indian, full-blooded Indian, Cherokee and Eastern Shawnee. Jen knows this story very well because she was a part of this. But he did end up coming to me later as in the form of an owl. We understood this because his nickname was Hootie. That's all everybody ever knew him was Hootie. In Carlsbad, New Mexico, where there is no owls coming to your yard out in the middle of the country, two did. And not we, my ex, shot one of them. And that little sucker the next day was still there, gurgling and hooting. I took a stick and tried to get it off the light. Came back. There was no getting it away until I got the message I needed to get, and that was through Jennifer. Then it went away, gone, done. So, yes, you can forgive, you can forget. You don't forget. You can forgive, you can move on. Child molestation? No, I cannot. I can't forgive, I can't move on, and I would rather kill him.
You don't forget, you learn.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You say forgive and forget. No, I don't ever say forget. I say, you forgive and you learn.
Yeah.
And what do you learn out of it? And what do you take away from it? And is there any fixing it, And sometimes time does heal things. Sometimes all it takes is somebody saying that they need help. We talk about addiction on the show. Well, addiction comes with a lot of abuse, we have to if we let go of resentment, and that's letting go of the past, we clean that off of our plate. Resentment just eats away the soul. It creates jealousy too. So instead of, me looking at my ex-husband and going, "Oh, you can do that for her, but you couldn't do that for me."
You see, that's where
Some
I have a problem.
I don't do that. I'm happy. I'm happy that he can provide for her something that, he can provide for me. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times that you sit down and it hits you and you go, "Why wasn't I good enough?" But then I remember something that I always say: just because it's not your shade of lipstick doesn't mean that it doesn't look good on somebody else. It can still be your favorite shade of color. You just have to learn how to appreciate it on somebody else.
That's true, and there are lines, and I can get past being hit. It's fine. I knew I was pushing him to that point when I told him I was leaving with my child.
I'll be right
I knew
back.
what would happen. That's okay. I cannot get past somebody hurting a young child. I can't. I No way. And I didn't find out about this till they were older. And my child was 25 when she finally said, "You know what? I'm going to come out with this with the rest of my sisters." They told her it's been too long. I did not know that there was a statute of limitations on molestation, but there is. They wouldn't let her testify, and she was the only one strong enough and willing to. So, at that, there was another little girl, and she wasn't mine, but um, she was threatened, and come time to do it, she said no. She said I can't, and so the only the only way he had to pay was messing with a neighbor's child because nobody else would testify. So once again, people getting away with that. Our system is broken. There should not be a statute of limitations on child molestation any more than there is murder or rape or anything else. That's life changing for someone.
It's life altering.
Yeah. My girls, I'm very proud of what they've turned out to be. Do they have issues? Oh, hell yes, they do. Absolutely. It's trust issues. It's, when they were younger, one of them was cutting. Um, when I took them to a psychologist, they said they can't tell you what they feel inside. They can't show you. So they're showing you outwardly that they hurt. And I was like, okay, that makes sense now. I was never a cutter, but now I understand why these people do this.
That it's so hard to watch your child, and that is traumatizing, and that's something that we don't talk about. We talk about how traumatizing it is for the child. It is traumatizing for the parent. The helplessness that you feel, the lost, knowing that your child's cutting or doing any type of abuse like that to themselves is just, you think, "I created you, you're so perfect, you're so wonderful, I wish you could see yourself." And in your heart and your soul that you can't do that, that they have to see it for themselves. So you hurt for your child, you hurt for yourself, and then you hurt for everybody else around you. If there is other children and you hurt, it's a cycle. It's bad.
It is.
You know,
And now it's, this child has children of her own. One of them has not cutting issues. She's young, but self destruction, screaming at the top of her lungs, and nothing stops her. It's like my daughter's bipolar. She's there's no medication. She handles it herself. Yeah, there's days that she does not handle it very well, and bless her husband's heart, he is amazing with her because most men would have said, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Get out of here." But he doesn't. He understands. I don't know. I don't know how, but he does. Um, he has more patience than I ever could have. Um, but they said if a child could be diagnosed at 5 years old with bipolar, she probably has it. Now, is that genetic? Is it in here? I don't know. But I believe she does. And I believe that her mom is going to teach her how to deal with it like she does. I hope. Without medication, without all that. But if she needs it, get it.
Being bipolar, I think, is more common than what we think. We I believe that being bipolar is we suppress so much. We have gone so much past our human nature that our minds are trying to adapt at a faster rate than what we're able to. It's so hard. We are so disconnected from everybody. The empathy is gone. And I always said, you can have everything in the world taken away, but the minute that you take away empathy, humanity is lost. And we are losing humanity and we're losing that connection. And I think that being bipolar, I feel, is honestly everybody's situation in today's world. We are so stressed out over everything. We are so on edge. Our plates are just so full that we have those moments like we can kick ass and we can get it done, we can get it accomplished. And we put so much on ourselves, so much, that when things don't come out right, we disappoint ourselves more than we disappoint anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
We need to understand that. It's something as simple as my daughter in her dance class today. She's 4 and she is a wild child. She is a free spirit. I'm sitting here and I thought dance would be good. She needs some structure. She needs this. She needs that. Well, I was wrong. She taught me a lesson. She has told the teacher off 3 classes in a row now. She got into the one kid's face thinking about just knocking this girl out. I mean, Abby's 4 and here she is. She's just like, no, I am not conforming to anybody's ideas of what they think I need. And she taught me a lesson.
Where there has to be a happy medium.
Right. She won't be going back to dance tomorrow. I mean, I'm going to miss it. It's going to break my heart, but we'll try it again in 6 months. I got to find a play group for her. Okay.
That's going to be even worse.
I heard I cannot drop her off at the zoo and leave her in the monkey pen.
Yes, you can. Because you can get along with them.
She's just so crazy. She's just so wild. She's so free. She's just my free spirit. So I limitations, man, limitations. We need to stop expecting so much.
Well,
yes, that's what it is.
We do. Maybe we need to stop expecting them to act like adults, but we do need to start teaching them what adults are supposed to act like and their boundaries and how they're not to act. But it is so hard. It's such a fine line to teach them how not to act and not take away their sense of self and their sense of what they want in life. That fine line is just so thin.
With raising so many kids, I have learned how to pick and choose the battles. I don't fight potty training. I refuse to fight potty training. Potty training is one of those things. If I fight potty training, I'm going to drive myself insane. And Avelina has reminded
another thing you refuse.
My only girl has reminded me how much patience I need to have with potty training because I've about put my head through the wall with her. She's teaching me patience all over again. And, I was told once, and I got really upset that, yes, Jen, she will dance the way
Joshua,
she wants.
Please explain that.
So, I wish I had an instant rewind. I don't know, like with each kid, they teach me so much, and she's teaching me a whole different line of
Girl, the boys taught you pretty much what you already knew.
yeah,
This is a
yeah,
whole different world. This
whole
is
different.
you all over
Oh,
again.
so this oh there go. This woman told me once recently, and she insulted my daughter's boots and complimented them at the same time because I bought her big boots. Okay, and she goes, "Oh, aren't those boots a little too big for you?" And I hope this gets back to her. I really do, because she should think about what she says. And I said, "Yeah, they are big." I said, "But they're expensive, and she's little, and her feet are going to grow fast, and she loves these boots. I wasn't going to deny her boots, right?" So she turns
Was that
around
her
and
pink ones?
huh?
Was that her pink ones?
It was her flower ones. Remember her first pair, her flower ones? So she goes, we used to say, thank God I always had my girl last because I have the patience for her. No, thank God. That frustrated me. Like you think that's why you should have had her last? I
Yeah.
had my boys. They're rough, tough. I love them. I miss the smell. They stink. Okay, teenage boys just have this stink. And if you're a boy mom, you just get it and you love it. I miss Friday night lights. I miss the craziness. I had my girl last so I could enjoy her, so I could learn from her. So you know what? I could be a better mom. So maybe I could relearn everything and have a different way of focusing. I don't
Well,
think I'm more patient with her than I was with the other kids.
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I think I don't.
Yeah, you are. No. Yeah, you are. I have seen that child intentionally hurt you, slap you, bite your tit because she was pissed off and trying to breastfeed. Um, all but cuss you. No. I'd have done popped that child in the mouth and said, try again. You are much more patient.
This is why Mason says I'm mommy mom.
Hmm. Yeah. I'd have done popped his ass with teeth coming out of his mouth if he'd have ever done that to
My
me.
first two, my first two, I was pretty hard on. My first two, though, I remember looking at my first and I said, "I'm gonna mess up with you, boy. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna f you up so bad. I am
But look
so
at him
sorry."
now.
And look at
Look,
him now, right? But
he's
he
got
gets it. Being a dad now, he gets it. I think he looks at his first one going, "I'm gonna screw this up. I get where mom's coming from. I'm gonna so screw this up, but I got this."
yeah.
Now he has a second one, and he's thinking, "Oh, crap." Well, by the time you have your third, you're like, "Ugh." By the time you have your fourth, you're like, "Eh." By the time you have your 20th, you're like, "Who cares?" I don't know. It's
Wait till he has a little girl.
hmm?
Wait till he has a little girl. It's gonna change his whole world around.
Oh,
And her
it's not
too.
him I'm worried about. It's not him. Oh man, I think Meg would go crazy. I think she would love her daughter to the utmost, like I love Evelina. She's great though. I can't say that she has nothing but sisters, and she's amazing with girls. The patience she has with Evelina is amazing. Oh man, I learn from Megan how to breathe. I do. I'm waiting for her to come around the corner.
Honestly, everybody learns from somebody. I don't care what age you are. I don't care what you've been through. Everybody is put in somebody's life for a reason. I was always extreme, complete extreme. A child talking, shut up. You don't talk back. I mean, complete extreme. Then I met you, and there was a whole different light on everything. Wait a minute. You know
Oh,
what? That makes sense. Now, my
I'll let.
grandkids, I'm still going to whoop that ass.
Oh, I mean, I'm not one of those pushover moms. I mean, Avelina will sass me. You know, she gets into my face and she'll tell me the business. I have to look at what she's saying to me. It's okay if this kid's getting into my face, what is she truly telling me? All right, well, I listened to what she has to say. Now I'm going to explain to her why we just don't say certain things, and how to act like a lady. Everybody gets frustrated with the kids, and in their why face. Well, why, why, why,
I
why?
like the why. I mean, I
I
used
love
to when
the why.
I had my first one at 17. So, yes, I did get frustrated with that. But I do like it now.
See, I toddlered with my kids, and this is something that if you're around me enough, you'll start to do. I I have crazy arguments with my kids over the craziest things. Um, and it develops personality, like it built
I
self
think that's
confidence
Sam.
in different ways. Um,
Right.
my kids, there was always a group of huge people around, and somebody would go, "Hey, mom," and I go, "I'm not mom, I'm Bob," and they'd be like, "No, you're mom, he's Bob," and I'd be like, "Well, no, he's Jay." Well, no, that person's, and they'd be like, "No, your mom, that's Bob, that's Jay, that's Sharon, that's they would just they would tell you with confidence, no matter what you were saying. I almost one time taught one of the kids that the color green was purple. I almost did.
Um,
It,
why?
it was one of those psychological things that you can only do with your kids. You want to see how it would react. I just because I love psychology. I didn't do it though. But like with the grandkids, I wanted to talk with an Irish accent and be from New Mexico, and then like turn around on graduation day and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Like have them not question, why does grandma have an Irish accent? She's from New Mexico. Like just have them accept it, but never question it, and then really mess with their heads. I don't do it though. It's just things I think about. That would be great and fun.
What goes on in that head of yours is a whole different show.
But that's where I toddler with the kids. I come up with crazy arguments. I'm also honest with the kids. I'm very age appropriate honest. I'm a straight shooter. Give me a second.
Okay, we're talking about Strange. Wait, she comes back, she'll tell you what she's doing. I promise you it's Strange. Because one of those kids has said something, done something. Yeah, no. Mm-mm. Yeah, it's all out there. But yeah, if you've had kids young, which some of us have, we didn't get a chance, and most of us here, like I said, are paranormal. So when you started life young with family and whatever else, whether you're medium, and I know some of y'all here are, whether you're mediums, whether you're, empathic, whatever the case may be, you put that aside. You never even thought about it because you're raising children. So that's not something that really happened. And of course, if you're my age, the paranormal world was not there when you were younger. If it was, you were looked at funny. So that's just not something you did. We're not going to give away my age. We're just going to say probably 4 years ago, I started getting into the paranormal, and just starting to pay attention to it. Um, we're still looked at funny. No, we're not. No, there's a whole bunch more of us than what when we were here. There we go. That's okay. They can mock us. They're going to come to us when they have questions too. So I have no problem with
Where are
that.
you gonna go?
As a matter of fact, I
Everybody
don't
said it
know.
in their head. Everybody said it in their head.
I'm not going to. I am going to name names, but I'm not going to get into anything that was actually said or done, because if everybody knows, if you're a medium, if you're empathic, you don't put it out there for the world. But I am going to say, I don't know how many of you have actually paid attention to this. Rosie, I'm sure you have. If you haven't, I'm 35. Oh God, I love you. Um, there's a lady who was very famous on TikTok, and now on she's kind of taken it to Facebook a little bit. I knew her a little bit before she got famous, or this famous. Um, Zip it, Jeremy. I know where you live. So her son was murdered just a few days ago. What's really bad is he was 18. He was murdered hours before his 19th birthday. This woman comes on every day on TikTok and has a beautiful message. They call her Mama Tot, because she'll always come on there and say, "Hey, Tater Tots, what you doing?" And always, always with a positive message. And she said something that really impacted. She said, "I don't understand what this feeling is in me because I've never had it." She said, I have hate, and I don't understand it because I've never had it. She has hate for the person who did this to her child, who was supposed to, turn 19 that day. Um, a few of us have looked at his picture, like she's asked. Nobody, I don't know if anybody's messaged her. I hope to God they haven't. But she's not ready for that. But a few of us have looked at that picture. I don't know if any of us that have actually collaborated about it. But, some of us see things, know things just by looking at the picture. Is it going to solve the crime? No, it's not. But we can all feel what she's feeling, whether we know her or whether that's the first time we've ever seen her. Sitting there listening to a mother who is always dressed up beautiful. I mean, this lady is absolutely beautiful. Always with her makeup on, getting ready to go to the store, just so sweet. Sitting there with no makeup on. Her hair has not been done. She hasn't slept since this happened. And she's saying, "Please help me if anybody knows something. I have 7 million followers." And she does. "Please, somebody has to know something." And, I don't know if anybody's come to her. I hope somebody did. Um, and I hope they solve it quickly for her. But that pain's not going to go away for her. When we see her videos from now on, it's not going to be the same. She's felt hate for the first time in her life, and that's not her. So what happens from here out, I don't know. But, that's things that some of us, I never intended to know who she was. She's not in the paranormal world. She's not, she's just somebody on TikTok that ended up adding me on Facebook for some reason. And that's how I see it. So we cross each other's paths for a reason. Now, are we going to go out there and say, "Hey, I know"? No, we're not. But, you feel like you know people, even if you've never spoke to them in your life. And we're seeing things happen in this world that should never, ever happen.
That's the resentment part. That's where, if we clean up our resentment, clean up our anger, clean up our plate, this stuff doesn't happen. Hold on.
Avelina, what is wrong with you, young lady? No, that's exactly right. No, I know somebody who's trying to, and I have really, really advised against it. Yeah, and at this point, I don't think anybody needs to take any approach whatsoever. Um, I hope they do. I really do. And I hope it happens quickly. We all know the first 48 hours are the most important. So if they got everything they need in that first 48, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Send prayers.
You, you know, I think this is something that we should touch upon because this is something we're seeing more and more and more of. And we're seeing more shootings. We're seeing more of this. We're seeing more of that. And I'm going to throw something out there that I know that a lot of people don't understand. But when we turn on the news today, I really want people to understand what we're promoting. In our culture, in our society. I see a lot of negative things that we're promoting and a lot of
We are. And it's becoming more common and more.
We can't sit here and have a sit down talk with our insurance companies about being no, there's no here, baby. Go play. We can't have a sit down conversation about having a family, being a surrogate, adopting, IVF treatments, but we can go out of state for other medical procedures. There's something wrong with that. And you breed negativity and you breed hate and you breed resentment. There's more. I have never seen anybody so proud to have taken a life in my life, a woman, and it makes me sick that we think that that's okay. We're not living in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s anymore.
Oh, she's mentally ill. It's okay.
We are living. I went to school with people in the 90s that were pregnant at 14.
And I got the tuck.
You know, you don't. What is wrong with the world today when we think that going to the streets and promoting negativity is what's going to help today's society? That's not what I want to teach her. That's not what I want to show her. I don't want to teach her any of those things are right because they're not. Where is the world's dignity?
It's gone. It is absolutely gone because we accept everything. Doesn't matter.
Right. Nobody talks about women's rights.
We accept you.
Right. Yeah. I don't talk to me about women's rights because I know what a woman is, and I know what my rights are, and I know what my capabilities are. I know what my strengths are. I also am very honest on where my weaknesses are, and that's part of being human. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. But don't sit here and talk to me about women's rights when nobody's truly standing up for what is truly a woman's right.
Yeah,
and you know what? Instead of fighting up for the right to go do this, because I can't even say it, it makes me so sick. Why don't we fight for the right to go ahead and have that child, have that family? Why don't we fight for the right to stay home, to be with our children? Why don't we fight for the right to have it just be a family again? What is wrong with that?
Because people get bored.
No, you put your boredom away. The grass is never greener on the other side. You know why it's
That's
greener?
exactly right.
Fucking dirtier bullshit than yours.
Exactly right.
You just plant different seeds in your garden. Shut up and move on. You don't like what you see, you change it. You don't go and be resentful of somebody else or hateful or jealous and tear their lives down just because you don't have what they have. No, you support others. You know what? Adrienne, you get a new car tomorrow. You earned it. Congratulations. I am proud of you. You know what? You little wench, I'm going to be a female about it and be like, oh, my car's still better than yours. But that's just human nature. But I'm excited for you. Like, I'm just there, and that butt doesn't stink.
That's nature. And that's why you're honest about it. You say, you know what? I'm glad you did it, but screw you.
Yeah, screw you. You know? Yeah,
At
if you
least
don't
that's
like the
honesty.
choice that somebody makes, be like, you know what? I don't like your choice, but I get it. Not my place. Not my place to judge. It's my place to love. You know?
Now, it is not a choice when you go hurt a child. You go rape a woman. You go,
No,
you know,
no.
whatever it is you're doing that is hurting someone else. You want to go screw somebody else's sheep, go do it. But leave people alone.
Don't, I try to put my best foot forward every day. I really do. And I think this is something that we can all relate to. I tend to have bad road rage. I have life in the car. I know my vehicle. I know my vehicle's capabilities. Any vehicle I drive. Um, don't think that you're more important on the road than that person right next to you because you don't know who they're carrying. You don't know what they're going through. So when you cut them off, what if they weren't paying attention? What if their child yelled something? What if their child threw something? What if they dropped something? What if they have an animal in the car? What if they're looking for an address and you just cut them off? You got rear-ended and you killed somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you wanted to be a jackass. That's not your right. Get out of the left-hand lane if you're on a highway or interstate. That's for passing. Don't camp in it. That is a safety lane. What happened to following basic laws, rules of society? They were put there for common courtesy reasons. And that's what we're lacking is common courtesy, common
Joshua,
sense.
no. I
No.
no. But an
That's
animal will whoop your tail and have no problem doing it. And that's not an issue. They will hurt you. You trying that, they're going to hurt you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, even with matted gloves. I just don't. Common courtesy's just gone. The empathy's gone. We have lost what truly means the most when we cannot protect our women and our children, when we cannot protect our elderly, when we cannot protect our helpless, or sick.
And that's
And I don't think
something
women are helpless,
we
but
talked about this one day.
key. Women are key to life.
Yeah. We talked about this one day, and I would like to get the audience opinion as well. We talked about the elderly. And when we talked about this, it was a private conversation, and but somebody said something to me one day, and it didn't make sense at that point. It does now. Um, Matter of fact, here we go with my ex. I hated his opinions back then. I hated him, but it makes sense. Um, we lost a lot when we gained Social Security because China, all those countries, they have no Social Security. So what does that mean? You're going to take care of mom and dad. You're going to take care of grandma. You're going to take them in because otherwise they're going to die on the street. What that causes is complete respect and love for the elderly. We don't have that. We just don't. Throw them in a nursing home, go on with our lives. That's what we have.
We've lost that. We've lost that disconnect. There's a place for the elderly with our children. The elderly are there to teach. They slow down so that they can keep up with the children. I truly believe that. I truly believe that it is a cycle. I truly also believe that I learned more from my grandparents than I learned from my parents because my parents were still growing up while raising me. So there's a role in the family dynamic, and we have lost family dynamic. We need to start bringing our elderly home. We need to start taking care of them. We need to start bringing the simple love back into the home and back into the family. We need to learn what it's like through thick and thin. I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there really fast. I do see hope in human society. I see hope in the world opening up their eyes in a different way. I do have hope, and I brag about it almost every show. I see it in the generation that my son's in. I see more moms staying home. I see more moms breastfeeding. I see more moms not depending on the government for help. And if they do, I see more moms banding together and raising their children together. And I see more of a community setting going on. You know, there is hope. There's hope that maybe we travel enough backwards
Hopefully,
that
yes. And we are.
we
We are.
get to a happy medium.
Yeah.
Does that mean
Joshua.
I don't know if we need to relearn everything about being human, and we need to take it back and look at the greatest generation and say why was the greatest generation so great?
Mhm.
And that was
I like
because
it.
they had it all.
Joshua, I was too. I'm not going for my LPN, I promise you that. Jen
Nah,
is also in medical. She was before she stayed home. Um, so you understand, you've
that's
seen
very
what
true.
happens to our grandparents, our parents, when they're thrown in there, nobody comes to visit. You understand what happens when somebody does come to visit every day. And you don't know what day, what time they're coming, but you know they're coming that day. I've had this happen. The nurses say, you know that family's coming today, and that crap better be right. You better make sure this is done, this is done, this is done. So everybody spends all the time making sure that's done, that's done, that's done on that person. And everybody else is neglected because their family's not coming. I I've seen it too many times.
There's a special place for CNAs
There is.
that work in nursing homes. I loved working dementia. Dementia was one of my favorite. I love lockdown dementia. Give me lockdown dementia any day of the week. If you give them to me at second shift, that is my favorite when they are sundowning. And it's as simple as just putting on some music back in the era and putting on some decaf coffee, putting on the news, and having baked cookies in, coming in, the smell,
We have them
putting the
show you how
laundry
to
out.
take them.
Everybody thought I was weird because I always, we had to do our own laundry for the cottages and whatnot, and I'd bring out all the linens and whatnot. And all of a sudden, I'd have a collective group of little old ladies come over, and they just start folding the clothes with me. And they're like, "Well, that's not their job. That's your job." Well, no, it's my job to take care of them. And if this is what they want to do, this is what they feel comfortable doing. This is what their generation did. Why are you taking that away from them? You don't want to ever take that away from them. You want them to keep that. That's part of their identity. We're not here to take away their identity. We're here to help them live the rest of their life, not lock them down. I never understood getting them all up at the same time. No. I have earned the right at the age of 90 that if I want to sleep until noon, you are not going to walk into my room and wake me up. No way. Mm-mm. You see, I'm already mad thinking about it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Future
Okay,
purposes. You gotta take care of me.
it's 8
I don't know.
o'clock. Let's give let's give your parting words of wisdom for the night.
Clean your plate of resentment. Instead of taking the bitter part of everything, scrape the shit off of it and polish it up and take the good. Love the person where they're at. Appreciate what they've done for you, what you've done for them, and what you've done for each other. So when it comes to your exes, when it comes to family, just remember that at one time you loved them. And at one time you had a family with them.
At one time, maybe we were stupid. Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, we all make mistakes, and that's okay. We're human. But don't let that hold you back. Resentment is a nasty, nasty thing, and it causes wrinkles. So remember, love yourself where you're at, and love them where they're at. You guys have a good night.
All right, guys. We love y'all. Thank you. Leave us comments. We'll answer your questions.
Also, check the page because this week we do have another episode with Mark coming on, and I'll get that all figured out.
You want to fold clothes? You fold clothes. Come on to my house.
Mama.
All right, guys. Have
Yes,
a good
have
night.
Bye.
Bye, Abby. Love you.
Bye.